What's going on, my degenerate gamblers? Welcome to the undefeated post-weighted show. This one's for UFC Vegas 76. UFC Vegas 76. I apologize. I'm bringing the show to you a little late this evening. Had to take the wife and the kid out. It was family movie night. We got some dinner, so I know you guys are paying the piper for it. I do apologize. They feel bad. They're sorry too, but that doesn't matter because we're here. We got the tinfoil hat. We are ready to go. We are taking one last look at the fighters as they step on the scales today, as they face off with each other. We try to make sure there's no surprises when it comes to the height and the reach and all that good stuff. There were a couple today, and we're going to go ahead and use that info compiled with all the other betting information we've had all week, and we're going to try and make one final bet. We're going to make an opportunity for you to make a good bet. Use that information to cash some tickets tomorrow. Fight start at 4 p.m. Eastern time, I believe. So we're a little bit earlier than normal, but not mimosa and waffles earlier tomorrow. So everybody wake up, get ready to go a little bit early. The Golden Octagon in the chat. What's up, everybody? David Hartman, VGO, live in the house. We've got Zach. We've got Win one wins. There we go. Okay, those a lot of W's all typed together like that. You got me good on that one. J-Dog, Thomas, my guy D in the house. Jack 9440. What's going on, everybody? Let's kick some ass. Love you guys too. All right, first fight of the evening. Addicted to Combat, my guy Patrick in the house. What's up, buddy? All right, let's try and get through this real quick here. First fight of the evening, Blagoy Ivanov comes in at 259 pounds. His opponent, Alexander Romanov, tips the scales at 264. This is unfortunate because I actually really wanted to bet my guy, Alexander Romanov. It feels like that spot we get where everybody's on board the guy, biggest favorite in UFC history. He shits the bed once or twice, and now we're getting pick'em price tags when he's getting a big step down in competition. That's usually the hammer spot, right? That's usually when we pick our balls up with both hands and set them on the table, and then we go, you know what, we're just going to go ahead and smash here. Tends to work out more often than not, but I needed to know he took this fight seriously. I needed to know he was coming in more motivated in this spot. I don't know if we got that. I mean, he didn't lose any weight at all. He's not slimmed down. He was 240 pounds, I think, the one time when we got Super Romanov that I was like expecting to see going forward. So I'm not really overly confident that he's coming in the way he is supposed to in this spot. The thing I will tell you guys, we're breaking this out early today. I think something's wrong with Blagoy Ivanov. So he came in at 259. And don't get me wrong, Blagoy always looks like that up on the scales, right? Like he looks like me up there with my shirt off. It's not a pretty sight, but like that's a big boy. These are heavyweights. That's what we're looking at. That's what we're talking about. So you can't always expect them to look like super heavyweights like Alistair Overeem did when he was on the horse meat. So I'm not, trying to like body shame Blagoy or anything, but he just looked uncomfortable. Like the whole time he was up there, he was kind of shifting his weight back and forth. He was kind of looking around. He didn't really look like he was involved. And then when they go to face off, Blagoy looked like he was out of breath, like walking up to the stage to face Alexander Romanov. He wasn't really looking at him. He looked like he was kind of a little tip to the side, off balance. Like, I actually think something might be wrong with Blagoy Ivanov coming into this fight. And it feels like we've seen this a lot recently. There have been a couple situations where the UFC has tried to like book people, even though they're not 100%. We saw it with the Jared Gordon thing. If he didn't say something publicly about the fact that he had just been in the dark room 2 weeks earlier, they'd let the boy fight and go out and get KO'd. They absolutely were going to let that man go out and take additional brain damage in his next fight when he was clearly not prepared and ready to do so. This feels to me like a sketchy ass spot where the UFC is trying to get Alexander Romanov back on track. And one thing that I've been thinking a lot about is the cardio. So even though we don't have Alexander Romanov coming in 20 pounds light, even though he isn't shredded, he doesn't have, the spare tire off of his gut, Blagoy Ivanov is not the guy that's going to like force takedowns on you. We did see Alexander Romanov gas out when he fought Juan Espino, but Juan is a lifelong wrestler. Juan is a guy that's going to force you to grapple in defensive positions. Blagoy might come forward and try and like hit him in the body once or twice. He might pin him up against the fence. He's not going to shoot double legs. He's not going to try and drag you to the floor and get on top of you. He's just going to lean on you. And in that kind of a fight, Romanov can take a minute. Romanov can catch his breath. Romanov can get centered again and get back into this fight. And especially if something is actually wrong with Ivanov, which, and again, it's just an eye test. I suspect that something may be wrong. If that's the case, his cardio probably isn't what it should be. So that's what the tinfoil hat is for, ladies and gentlemen. This is one of those speculations. This is an undefeated post-weigh-in show read. I think we might get Alexander Romanov this weekend. I have been kind of dancing around this one, and even just a couple hours ago when I had Yanni the Greek on the Sharp Action Report, he talked about the under, and I love that. If you can get the alternate 2.5, the under violence on this one, you can still get somewhere in the ballpark of even money or laying slight chalk on that one. Don't trust the over 1.5, but definitely take fight doesn't go the distance, something along those lines. I like that. He thinks there's a good chance this fight finishes, but quite frankly, I've got a hard time seeing Blagoy Ivanov finishing Alexander Romanov unless he's death gassed. I mean, death gassed. Like, this guy is nowhere near the offensive firepower of my guy, Alexander Volkov. So I don't expect him to come out and starch Romanov in the first round. It would be like a round 3 TKO when he's got nothing left to give. And I just don't know that Blagoy has that in the tank for this particular fight. I think I like Romanov. He's about a minus 135 favorite at this point. And believe it or not, you know what? Last week, maybe it was a week before, I can't remember. I do too many of these shows. Cedric Dumas, I battled with it all week. I was going to load up on Dumas because, again, that's where everyone was on him. He lost a bunch of people, a bunch of money, and then he turns around, and instead of being a favorite again, he's a big underdog because now everyone's betting against him. That was the spot. That was the spot to hammer Cedric and get all our money back that we lost on him on the first place. I missed it because I didn't trust my balls. I didn't sack up and take the opportunity. I think I have to do it this time with Romanov. That's what's been kind of screaming at me all week, and I don't want to miss another one of these spots because they seem to do pretty well long term, especially when I don't have the nuts to make the bet. Let's see here. What's everybody saying here in the chat? TGO saying Blagoy backed up when Romanov stepped on stage. Blagoy's always looking scared at the face-offs. That's fair. That's fair. Absolutely. All right, let's see here. Adam is saying, Clint, let's get another ticket to cash after the Barber TKO. I got one for you. My prop squad article is going to get typed up right after this show, but I will tell you what that pick is going to be for this week. And it's a little bigger. It's a little bigger than that 4-1 that we were looking at last time. I got something for you today. Let's go. All right. Next up, we have got Luana Dread Carolina taking on Ivana Petrovic. Luana came in at 126. Ivana new to the UFC, 125 and a half. Luana was all smiles. She always throws the Wakanda Forever up there. I love it. Ivana, honestly, solid flex, stone cold stare. This girl's well built. She's got the muscle on her. She looks good. She looks like she's been around. She looks like she's been here before for sure. This was a very intense stare down. She got up there and tried to like punk Luana Carolina. That ain't happening. My girl leaned in and got in close with her, smiled at her, like threw the fingers up at her. Like, you are not going to try and punk Luana Carolina and get away with it. That girl does not care. She got that dog in her. She'll scrap with absolutely anybody. And this is the spot, guys. This is the spot. I'm going to make this my prop squad article for the week. I'm going Luana Carolina by TKO. Now, I know she's only got 2, right? She's mostly a decisionator. She's only got 2 TKOs on her record, but Ivana is 6-0. She's only been doing mixed martial arts at the professional level for 2 years. And now she's taking on someone who may be middle of the road in the UFC, but she's battle tested in the UFC. She's fought so many well-rounded fighters at this point. She held Loopy to 2 of 15 on takedowns, which is insane, and definitely gives me some hope that she's going to be able to stuff the takedown attempts of this 6-0 undefeated girl. And yeah, Tim, there you go. Right there. That's the question. I'm going to take my girl, Dread Carolina, TKO at 14-1. Just a sprinkle, just a taste. It's a long shot. But we were watching tape of Ivana getting dropped and rocked by girls throwing elbows, very specifically elbows, on the regional scene within the last 2 years. That's Luana's game plan. So Ivana is going to be horrifically outmatched when these two are striking. She needs to get the takedowns, which means she's coming in close. And Luana's best weapon is her Muay Thai. Knees and elbows in the clinch is what she's best at. She just very narrowly lost a split to JoJo Wood, who's one of the best Muay Thai strikers in this division. I don't know that Ivana can deal with that. Like I mentioned, this whole thing is predicated on Luana being able to stop the takedown. If she stops the takedown and Ivana's stuck on the feet for 15 minutes, I don't see why Luana can't hurt her and drop her the way some of those regional scene chicks have, and then end up putting her away. Probably second round, probably third round, somewhere a little bit deeper into the fight. But I need her to be able to stuff those takedowns. That's really what it's all based off. So don't go nuts. It's a 14-1. Those are not easy to hit. We're going to take a shot. That's the plan. But they do size up relatively well. And, if Ivana puts Luana on her back for 15 minutes, that's her path to victory, right? That's the way she wins. So I do think there's some upside for violence here. Ivana does seem to be, she goes for it. She's mean. She goes for the ground and pound. She goes for the submissions. I think Luana might be good enough to defend those positions and keep this fight standing. Or if she gets taken down, start from scratch in round 2, get back up to her feet, make it tougher on her the deeper the fight goes. Because Luana seems to get better the deeper the fight goes, as opposed to starting off super fast. So I think she'll take over and hopefully at least win me a decision, because I am on the money line. But if she can get the TKO, all the better. Next up, Guram Kutateladze gets back in the cage here, taking on Elvis Brenner. Brenner at 155, Kutateladze matching 155 on the scales. And honestly, Guram, he's huge. He's absolutely jacked. He's shredded up. I love to see it. The guy is in phenomenal shape. He's been sitting around trying to get a fight for the last 6 months. Finally, they got him out here. They got him an opponent. It's happening. So he's been ready for this. Elvis Brenner, honestly, he looks like the old buff dude in every anime you've ever seen. He did the white hair dye thing the shoot the box guys do, and he's got a little beard going on him. So he looks like Master Roshi, you know what I mean? He looks like he's old, but he's jacked up. It's pretty funny, actually. When these guys face off, Guram, decent bit larger, decent bit taller. And this is the thing. You can't trust the numbers. I thought these guys were going to be a little bit closer to the same size. Guram is big. He looks big in there. Now, Elvis Brenner has shown some good stuff from what we've seen so far. He's also shown himself to be very durable. He hasn't been finished. He hasn't been knocked out. And Guram hasn't been able to knock anybody out at the UFC level. Can't play the money line. It's way too big. Guram minus 650. At this point, you're losing out on a whole lot of value even parlaying that, right? What's it going to do to your parlay? You might save 30 cents or something like that on somebody else. He's just getting to be too big of a favorite for me. Not my style, not my spot. I always seem to find a way to parlay a minus 800 and have them shit the bed and lose and ruin my night with a big unit bet. I'm not doing it this time. Even though Guram's my guy, I'm just not doing it. Now, I want to see him get back on track. I want the highlight reel KO. I want him to recapture the hearts and minds of MMA fans around the world. So I'm hoping he wins by knockout. But quite frankly, folks, after what I've seen his last 2 fights, I just don't know if I have the faith in that. Elvis Brenner is no pushover. Elvis Brenner is a guy who's tough. He's durable. He's going to get in there. He's going to scrap with you. He's good everywhere. So I kind of think this is going over. I kind of think we're going to see a Guram by decision type of situation. But again, I'm not really going to lose a unit on that, because Guram could just be that much better after his time off and come out and starch this guy. So I'm leaving this one alone. Pick is Guram, hoping for a highlight reel knockout, not really expecting one. Yana Santos taking on Carol Hosa here in the next fight. What we've got is a big mistake on my part. At least I'm starting to feel that way. Carol Hosa 146, Yana Santos 145.5. And Carol is the one who's coming in here on short notice. Carol's taking this short notice opportunity up a weight class. She struggled at times to make that 135-pound limit. She is good and big and strong at 135, but seems to be a little undersized at 145 with the short notice. I kind of waved my hands over it. It doesn't really matter. They're both 135ers. Not a big deal. She looked bad. She looked bad on the scales. It's man, you can't even get an extra 10 pounds and come in and look okay on the scales. I don't know if she just sucks at cutting weight or what the deal is, but Carol Hosa did not look good to me today. Yana Santos, on the other hand, no issues. She's taking all of Thiago's drugs. She's got all the PEDs in her. She looks jacked. She looks strong. She looked relaxed. I mean, Yana won the weigh-ins, folks. Absolutely. Now, I waited for my buy low spot on this one. Carol Hosa was a over minus 200 favorite in this spot. It's been money flooding in here on Yana Santos. I wanted to wait until it dipped at minus 155, jump in there. I missed it. I got minus 165, and I kind of thought it would like steam strong back the other way, and it hasn't. It's just kind of held around the minus 165, minus 175 mark, and that makes me really, really nervous. Yana's got a big size advantage here in this spot, and Carol's made some mistakes in the past, right? Like she hasn't been aggressive enough in these situations, or if she can't quite bully her opponents physically, then we end up with a really close tit for tat back and forth type of striking fight. And honestly, when I lined them up in my brain, and this is the problem, is the UFC stat site, sometimes those numbers are off. I thought Hosa was going to be much closer to Yana in height, in stature, in size, and she's just not. She's way smaller. That concerns the ever-living crap out of me. You've got Yana Santos, whose husband just got kicked out of the PFL for PEDs. You think she's not on the good stuff? She's on the good stuff. She's on an 0-2 skid. She's fighting for her job. If she wins this fight, it's going to be overturned to a no contest because she will piss hot. So I know we're fighting uphill here, and I don't like laying minus 165 in that spot. So I'm terrified. I'm going to go diamond hands. We're already in. There's not a whole lot I can do about it. But if you guys want the opportunity to take my money, I actually did, go ahead and utilize our new sponsor here, Bet Openly, where you can have peer-to-peer betting. You guys can take my money. I did go ahead and put a bet on Carol Hosa up on Bet Openly. Let me go ahead and find it here for you guys. There we go. All right. So I've got a bet open up on Bet Openly, and because of the reduced juice on the website, I did get minus 152. It's pretty cool because both sides of the line actually get better odds with Bet Openly. So if you guys want to come get my cash, I did lay $152 to win 100. You can take all or a portion of the bet. I'm going to go ahead and put the link in the description below. And actually, I think I'm going to go ahead and stick it in the chat. If you want to sign up at Bet Openly, it's awesome, guys. Seriously. It's going to be a good tool, especially for money lines. You cut out the middleman. Everybody makes more money. It's awesome. And if you guys just love and care about me, which I know you do, I want you to just do me a favor and click this link, drive a little bit of traffic for me, let the new sponsors know that people are paying attention, and pop those numbers up for me. Do me a favor, please. Thank you. But also, if you want to try and beat me, I think Yana Santos might end up being the side, and I'm already stuck with my money on Carol Hosa. So brace for impact on this one, folks. Brace for impact. I'm not going to cash out. You do with that what you will. Next up, Anderson Brito taking on UFC newcomer Weston Wilson. And we got the California conservative checking in. What's up, buddy? Thank you very much for hanging out. Rick the Ruler, Matt W, B Rip, Timothy in the house. What's up, everybody? I see some people rolling in the chat. Thank you guys for joining me here. Brito, 145.5. Wilson, 146. Brito gave a huge flex. I mean, my God, this guy is so big, so massive. I still can't get over it. Weston Wilson, he's got terrifying eyes, man. This guy's smile, he needs to work at like a fear farm or something like that, man. This guy, he looked horrifying. Go find the video of him smiling and flexing because he's like it's awful. Anyway, he's super tall, super lanky, super skinny. Brito gets in his face. He's all intense, all action. And then Weston Wilson gives him a note. I mean, like, he gives him like a little handwritten piece of paper. The weirdest thing I think I've ever seen at weigh-ins. Just don't really know what to do with that. Obviously, Wilson's long, tall, and skinny. Brito is short and squat and built like a Brit built like a brick shit house. And I fully expect Brito to live up to this minus 1,400 price tag. Obviously, I'm not parlaying minus 650s, minus 700s. I'm not parlaying minus 1,400. So I'm not doing anything here with this one. And it's kind of a pick your poison. You know, if you really want to roll the dice on knockout, it's minus 125. If you want to take him by sub, you'll get a little better. It's, plus 150, plus 200, something like that on sub. But you're picking your poison. This guy club and subs people. He can absolutely sever you from your consciousness. He did it to Andre Feely. He hits like a truck. But if he doesn't quite put you out, he'll just grab your neck. He absolutely does not take sides. If you give him a neck, he'll take it. If you give him the knockout, he'll take it. So just know full well, if you're predicting one or the other and trying to put your money there, you're flipping a freaking coin, folks. You really are. Now, I am saying KO But most of that is because of how freaking tall Wilson is. I think Brito's going to come in like with one of those big old overhands and we're going to see the skyscraper fall type of situation. I really think he's just going to club him and knock him to the mat, not have the opportunity to jump on a neck. I don't think he's going to shoot a takedown or something like that. He'll probably just curl up. That's my plan, but I'm not going to bet this one. I don't think. Definitely going Brito and DFS if you play DraftKings or anything like that. It's hard to argue otherwise. Next up, Rinat Fakhretdinov taking on Kevin Lee, and this is the one that's got me all kinds of twisted. 171 pounds for both guys. Fakhretdinov looked good on the scales today. Looked good, no problems. But Kevin Lee, my boy is back. I've been the biggest Kevin Lee fan forever. I really, really had such high hopes for this guy, and I bet him against Charles Oliveira in that first COVID card of all time, and it looked like he was beating Charles Oliveira's ass in that fight up until the point that he got a little tired, shot a bad takedown, left his neck out there, and you know Charlie O, if you give him that opportunity, he's going to take it, and it's been all downhill for poor Kevin Lee ever since. Now, he's still young. He's 30 years old. He got right, even though it was over Diego Sanchez, and he was doing it on one leg. Like, that's the thing I think a lot of people are maybe missing, is that fight happened on one leg. Like, a lot of people want to go back and be like, oh, bro, like he barely survived or barely won a decision against Diego Sanchez. He did everything right, and he fixed all the normal Kevin Lee mistakes while doing it on one leg. So to me, I'm like, that actually, we need to give him a little bit more credit for that. Now, I know it was Diego, so we can't give him all the credit, but we got to give him at least a little bit of credit for doing what he did on a single leg. Now, this is another weird one. Rinat Fakhretdinov brought Kevin Lee a gift or something like that, and it broke. So like Kevin was just standing there like, what do I do? Because whatever he was handed, I think it was a necklace or something, it just like broke in his hand and fell all over the place. Rinat's obviously going to have the size advantage in this spot. He's a decent bit taller than Kevin Lee, but dear God, guys, Kevin Lee is so big. Like, he's been doing nothing but work out with Gilbert Burns and hang out at the Santos house stealing their steroids because he's huge. He's absolutely massive. I mean, he's going to have a hard time when he eventually does try to get back down to 155. He's always had a big fight with the scale, but dear God, I do actually, I started this week off thinking, you know, I was going to be on the Fakhretdinov side of things, whether the line came down enough for me to play it straight or whether I was going to parlay him whatsoever. I think I have found my way over to Kevin Lee. Now, what I've done in 2023 so far, folks, I've said this a bunch of times. If I flip-flop on a fight, I stay off it. It's been saving me money because if I'm not convicted enough on the breakdown myself, then generally I end up being wrong, no matter what it is, right? Like if I flip, I was on the right side the first time. If I'm wrong, I end up just giving away money. I'm extremely tempted to break that rule. You guys know rules are meant to be broken, right? Like, there are no rules that we can't find a good reason to get past every once in a while. And I'm kind of starting to feel like this is one of them. Kevin Lee has always been such a good grappler, and Rinat Fakhretdinov has shown some spots where he makes a couple of mistakes. I think Kevin Lee has got a big advantage here on the feet. The size disadvantage is really the only question. And Rinat Fakhretdinov, we don't know what it looks like when he's not the hammer. So if Kevin Lee starts fast the way he usually does he crumble under the pressure? We don't know. Is he able to rally and come back in rounds 2 and 3? You know, maybe he can, but at 170, is Kevin Lee capable of going a hard 15 at this point? Maybe he is. Like, there's so many questions here. I can't lay minus 200 on Rinat Fakhretdinov. So it's turned into a dog or pass situation for me. And the thing that I've really been looking at is Kevin Lee inside the distance, and more specifically, Kevin Lee by sub, because shout out to my guy Liam Picks Fights. He talked about it the 2 times in the UFC when Kevin Lee was an underdog, and there were only 2 of them. He won by first round knockout both times. Like, when this guy is counted out, he comes through, and he comes through huge. Now, because of the size discrepancy, I'm not sure Kevin Lee's power is going to translate at 170 the way that it used to at 155. So I actually kind of lean more towards the sub. Like, even if he hurts Rinat, you know what Rinat's going to do? He's going to shoot for a takedown. And there's spots where Rinat makes some positional mistakes. There's some spots where he gives up his back and scrambles. We've seen it. So like, if that happens, Kevin Lee, he's a guy that tapped out a lot of UFC caliber grapplers in his day, and he's fought a much higher caliber of competition. I mean, you go back and Francisco Trinaldo, nobody taps that guy. Michael Chiesa, people tap Chiesa, but still, like, at that point in time, there were not a lot of people that were smoother than him on the ground. Like, this guy knows how to grapple. He blends his wrestling and his grappling very, very well. So Kevin Lee by sub at 7-1. is something that I'm probably going to be forced to sprinkle. I'm not sure. And at plus 170 on the money line, like that's plenty juicy to roll the dice on an underdog like Kevin Lee. So I'm not sure if I'm just going balls to the wall, going inside the distance and taking Kevin Lee to finish, or if I'm, I'm going to go ahead and put my balls back in my wife's purse and take the money line at plus 170 just because I don't know what the game plan is. I'm not, if he is going to go a little bit slower than he used to, if he is going to try and extend this fight a little bit more, maybe it does go to decision. And then he's super live at that plus 170, but you're going to just absolutely ruin the 4-1 on the inside the distance. I don't know, man. I don't know. So not sure what I'm going to do here, but I definitely lean Kevin Lee at this point. Welcome in. We got a couple more people. D definitely reminding me to trust my balls. We got Go Flamingo in the house. Dylan H coming in here. We got Christopher Patrick making some live show. Let's go. Nathan K. Hey, sorry, man. See ya. Don't let the door hit you on the way out. ETN, what is going on? We've got Ben and Naya coming in here. And then let's see. Charlie Chips, what's up? Jay Breezy, Salt Dirt. What's up, everybody? Kyle Smith. H, what's up? H Huey. We got Matt W. Let's go. All right. Next fight on the card. We're talking about Bruno Ferreira taking on UFC newcomer Nursultan Ruzabov. And we've got Bruno coming in 185. Nursultan came in 183 and a half. And I was this close to pulling the trigger on Nursultan. No issues for him making weight. He's super tall, super slim, built decently damn well. Like you look at his Instagram, like the guy can flex, even though he looks like he's super skinny, he's got some muscle on him. Obviously nowhere near as built as Bruno Ferreira. This guy, they call him the Hulk. He's thick as hell. Massive flex today. Now, I noticed Nursultan's got like a little Band-Aid on his chest right here. I wonder what that's about. Like that's like maybe a staff thing. It's a very like skin color, Band-Aid skin colored. So he's like trying to cover something right smack in the middle of his chest. And we've seen fighters that come in with like a staph infection and stuff. Sometimes they are drained for months after getting staph. It just, again, I'm going to pull this over here. I'm wondering what the Band-Aid over the chest is, because that's a little bit odd. But Nursultan absolutely towered over Bruno Silva or Ferreira in this spot. Jeez, I'm so used to saying Bruno Silva. So he's absolutely towering over this man. I like the tall, lanky dog, kind of. I think this line made more sense at Pick'em, but then I did the sharp action report with my guy Yanni, and he was saying don't even sweat it. Like, obviously, you don't necessarily want to jump in at the minus 220 price tag that Bruno is at right now, but he definitely believes in that being the side, saying that the power, the strength, this guy came through as an underdog when he was counted out and he shouldn't have gotten done. He found a way to, and every other time he's been heavily favored because he's legit. So like, I think I'm just going to pass on this one. I kind of lean dog or pass. If you got in short favorite or minus 110 on Bruno, you have done your job. You're sitting in the best spot possible. However, at this stage, for me personally, it could only be dog or pass. I'm going to watch this fight very, very closely live because both these guys have big time finishing upside, but Nursultan is the guy that I think would be able to put like a full 15-minute game plan together, whereas Bruno is super reliant on that KO power. At the end of round one, especially if we get into some back and forth scrambles, if Nursultan isn't able to finish Bruno, but it looks like Bruno is starting to like wing crazy trying to find that KO spot, then maybe we jump in on Nursultan live, but realistically, it may be too late by that point because the way these guys fight, it's probably just not lasting very long. Lean dog at minus 220, I just can't jump in this late, and I wouldn't suggest anybody does. If you're going to go with Bruno, probably take the knockout prop. That way you can buy it back down to that minus 110 instead of laying massive amounts of chalk on the guy's money line straight, because more than likely he wins by KO, right? So you might as well try and save the money that way. Ismail Bonfim taking on Benoit Saint Denis. Both guys made 156 pounds here. Ismail Bonfim looks great on the scales. This guy's put together well. He's well built, solid muscle, intense on the scales today. Benoit Saint Denis, I could say the exact same thing about him, except he's rocking one hell of a beard. The dude's big. The dude's strong. He's got abs for days, huge flex, and you got to love the God of War moniker with the way he rocks the beard. This is a super intense face-off. Benoit Saint Denis, decent bit larger than Ismail Bonfim. I mean, a solid size advantage over Ismail Bonfim. And actually, it was really funny. Bonfim went tippy toes. Like, he came in to like make the face off a bit more intense. Literally pops up on his tippy toes so he can go like nose to nose with Benoit Saint Denis. I got a good laugh out of that. And we're breaking it back out, folks. This is one that's going to get me. This is one that's going to get me. I absolutely talked about this on the Monday show. I needed to see it with my own eyes because the numbers tell us that Benoit Saint Denis is much, much larger here. And I was like, but if they lie and these guys are like nose to nose, I'm going to be real upset here. No, he's huge. He's really, really big. Benoit Saint Denis is a guy who I think is being massively disrespected here in this spot. I totally understand Ismail Bonfim being the favorite. I totally understand Ismail Bonfim being a minus 180, a minus 200. He's minus 350 in some places now. Like, we are talking mass amounts of disrespect when he's taking on a guy who arguably is his toughest challenge, right? Like, Terrence McKinney didn't ever shoot for a takedown. He is Terrence McKinney. He has no ability to take shots, and he's nowhere near UFC caliber besides his athleticism and his offense at this stage of his career. He's young. He needs to go back and sharpen those tools. Benoit Saint Denis, not so much. He's already got 3 UFC fights. He's shown he's super tough. He's super durable. He's super willing to hang in a fight, even if he's losing. And on top of that, he's bigger, he's stronger, he wrestles. He will take you down. He will pin you up against the fence, and he's got power in his hands. Like, this guy will hurt people when he's trying to close the range. So is he going to just get styled on against Ismail Bonfim the way he did against the Laizu Zaleski dos Santos, someone who's much taller, much longer, much better movement? I don't think so. And on top of that, I don't think it's going to be like a round one flattening. A lot of people think that Bonfim is going to come out here and just walk through him the way he did to McKinney. I promise you, Benoit Saint Denis has a better chin than Terrence McKinney does. So even if he does end up winning, I think it's going to be maybe a later finish when the referee pulls him off, or even a decision victory. I think this fight is going over, and I think I'm going to take the dog on Benoit Saint Denis here. Plus 260. It's been climbing all week. I'm going to see how high this goes, because if I can get anything like plus 260 is fine for me. I will absolutely play that right now. But if I can get anything better than that, why wouldn't I just sit tight for a few more hours and see if plus 275 or plus 280 rolls in? Because everybody and their mother is parlaying up Ismail Bonfim. The tinfoil hat pick here, though, is Benoit Saint Denis by decision. You can get that at 6-1. And I know Ismail Bonfim has been finished 3 times ever in his professional career. They've all been by sub. So I'm kind of banking on the fact that those are slicker submission artists that was younger in his career. He's made improvements. He's gotten better, and he'll hang into this fight. I think it's going to be a close, competitive 15-minute matchup, and you're giving me 6-1 on the bigger guy who's got the grappling heavy attack. Yeah, I think I got to go. I think I got to take that. And maybe even sprinkle the split decision prop, right? Like, maybe take the sprinkle on the split decision there for my guy, Benoit Saint Denis, because I think this fight could be close. All right. Welcome into the chat. We are hitting 200 live viewers here, talking UFC Vegas 76. Everybody, do me a favor, smash the like button if you haven't already. Justin, thank you for the props there on the new intro. That's the one for the Sharp Action Report. Very, very happy with that. Very, very happy with that. Let's see here. Gregory saying, seeing Benoit Saint Denis by round 2, sub 25-1, round 3, 40-1. Hey, that's always worth a sprinkle. You know, I need that Kevin Lee, or not Kevin Lee, geez, the Kevin clip from The Office where he goes, if someone gives you 100-1 on anything, you take it. Because those are good numbers, especially in the later rounds. I think that's more than likely where something like that would tend to happen. And that's how he's lost before. 40-1, baby, sign me up. I don't mind that one bit. Don't mind that one bit. Ben saying, yeah, he was surprised by the size there. Absolutely agree on that. And don't worry, Ben, we'll be talking about that fight in just a second here. Melissa Gatto taking on Ariane Lipsky is up next. 125.5 for Gatto, 126 for Ariane Lipsky. Gatto, huge smile, huge flex. She's pale as, seriously, she looks like a corpse up there. But that's always her. Like, if you look at her last couple weigh-ins, this is not something to be concerned about because she always looks that pale. Ariane Lipsky, same old, same old. She looks good, very physically in tip-top shape. No problem for her whatsoever. Lipsky does have a slight size advantage when these two women faced off. Both girls super intense for this one. I can't wait. This is going to be a great fight. Now, this is a spot where Gatto's my girl. Like, I have straight up pointed at her and gone, that's championship material. Like, I love everything I see from Melissa Gatto. She's big, she's strong, she's on the good stuff. She kicks like a mule. She just got promoted to BJJ brown belt. She will like physically maul these women, pick them up, slam them to get them to the ground if she has to. She's capable of it. That kind of physicality in women's MMA, I've talked about it. I'm going to keep talking about it. I will always continue to talk about it. Physicality in women's MMA makes a massive difference because some of them are just not physically the same way. Like Alexander Romanov is a perfect example. This dude's 265 pounds. His opponent weighs 300 pounds. Doesn't matter. He can pick them up and throw them across the cage. If you can do that to your opponent, that takes away something from them. That's not what they can do, especially in women's MMA. If you've got that kind of physicality, it's different from what other women are capable of. So I love Melissa Gatto, and especially considering her opponent is Lipsky, who's struggled on the ground with a lot of people, especially when her opponent is Ariane Lipsky, who's got 4 knockout losses. Any women's MMA fighter who's got 4 knockout losses at this stage, you shouldn't be competing at the highest level probably because you just don't have the durability to hack it. Antonina Shevchenko knocked this girl out in the second round. Nobody should be losing in the UFC by TKO to Antonina Shevchenko. Montana De La Rosa, I actually like her ground and pound game, so I'm not going to hold her too bad against that. But back-to-back with Antonina, yeah, that's still a bad look. And then she got one punched by my girl Priscilla Cachoeira. Now, I know Priscilla has big-time power for the women's weight class, but that's what I'm talking about. Gatto's got the same thing going for her. She's got the grappling. She's got the ground and pound. She's got the submission chops. She's got the raw power. So even if Ariane Lipsky is able to defend takedowns and keep this fight standing, I still think Gatto's eventually just going to hoof her with one of those big old feet. She's going to dig it to the ribs. She's going to get those abs, and then she's going to come up with a big overhand, and that's going to be night-night. I think she's going to get the takedowns, and more often than not, she either pounds Ariane Lipsky into the canvas, or Ariane Lipsky will turn and try to give up a sub or something. But we've seen it time and time again. She shells up. She doesn't do the right things. She gets saved by the ref. She gets TKO'd. She goes out cold sometimes. I like the knockout prop at 4-1 for Gatto, but this is one of those ones where she can either knockout or sub. It depends on what her opponent gives her. So even though it's like a massive discount, the inside the distance at plus 125, that seems good to me. Melissa Gatto money line is minus 250 at this point. I parlayed her much earlier in the week. And if you want to do that, I've already done it. So like, I can't tell you not to at this point, but I do think there's violence in this fight. So a finish probably more than likely, I'd say plus 125 for inside the distance is maybe the best way to go for this one on Melissa Gatto. Loved her all week. Loved her since the breakdown. Loved her since the matchup was made. That's my girl. Active, I do have to apologize. That's an issue with StreamYard for some reason. I'm not sure why it does it. I don't know if it's because Friday everybody gets home from work and plugs their internet in all at the same time and it slows me down or what, but I actually am working on it. I have a cord that's supposed to fix the problem so I can jack straight into the internet instead of using the Wi-Fi. But trick question here, I need a new laptop for that. My laptop doesn't even have the plug for the damn cord. So I'm working on it. I'm hoping that next week it'll be fixed. I do apologize for the lip syncing being a little bit out of order for you guys. I know that's been something I took way too long to correct here. Next up, we have got Max Griffin taking on Michael Morales. Both guys came in 170.5 pounds. Max Griffin thoroughly enjoying himself up on the scale today. He's a professional. He's been here. He's done this a million times. Solid shape. Looks good, very relaxed. Michael Morales, this kid looks good. I mean, like, not only is he like poster child, like looking good, the UFC can go places marketing this kid, but it looks like he put on muscle. He's got a big frame. He's always looked strong, but he seriously looks like he put on 5 to 10 pounds of lean muscle coming into this fight. He looks massive compared to the last time we saw him. He's much taller. He's much longer. This was a good face-off. I know Max Griffin is getting a lot of love from the betting community this week. A lot of people think that he's going to give this kid his veteran lesson, and maybe he can, maybe he will, but I'm banking on the youth here. You know, I thought Adam Fugit was going to teach this kid a thing or two, and he did, but you know what? He found his way out of that fight. He still knocked him out in the third round. This fight got going. This fight got deep. And he found a way to win by KO. He's getting better, and it's been a year since we've seen him. If he's bigger, if he's stronger, and he's been training for 9 to 10 months straight leading up to this fight, I can't wait. I can't wait for the new version of Michael Morales that we're going to see. I think he's the side here. I haven't done anything with him yet as far as like my actual money goes, so I'll tell you guys that right now. I have not bet on Michael Morales yet. Oh, by the way, I shouted out Bet Openly earlier in the show. Got to bring it up here. I did put a bet in on Gatto. So if you're a Ariane Lipsky believer, you can find my action on Bet Openly and try and take my money on that side as well. You're getting a nice juicy fat plus number on Lipsky over on Bet Openly if you want to go head to head with me there. So I'm figuring out how I'm going to play Michael Morales. Haven't done it yet. But I think I'm going to bet him in some way, shape, or form, whether it's the knockout prop, whether I just parlay him up with somebody or something. I'm not entirely certain, but I do think he's the side. I do think we lean on youth. And frankly, we fade everybody and their mother who's all just piling in the boat on Max Griffin, because I think this is a changing of the guard spot, and Max comes down to earth this weekend. Next up, Damir Ismagulov taking on Grant Dawson in your co-main event slot. Both guys made 156 pounds. Grant Dawson was jacked. Folks, like, now, I actually had to go back and I Googled and I rewatched some of Dawson's other weigh-ins. He has never looked this good. Grant Dawson has never been in this kind of shape before. He's always been in good shape. He's always been in good condition. He's never looked this good. I am impressed by the physical nature of Grant Dawson coming into this week. Damir Ismagulov, no problems for him. Business as usual. You know, he's not the guy that's ever physically imposing. He's not the most ripped. He's a bit tall. He's a bit lanky. So I'm not really like counting that against him here in this spot. He looked the same as ever, really. Face-off was good. Decent height advantage for Damir Ismagulov. Very respectful face-off. This is a high-caliber matchup. This thing's sitting at a pick'em at this point. Minus 110 on both sides. And I kind of leaned with Grant Dawson earlier in the week. You know, when I broke this down, I kind of thought that Damir Ismagulov, his retirement scare back in January was a thing that I was like, why is he saying he physically can't cut it? He's going to retire. And now he's turning around. He's fighting again. I chatted with my guy, Yanni the Greek, and he really kind of woke me up here about this one. He was talking about how he believes Damir Ismagulov made like an emotional response to his last fight, because this is a guy who's 24-2. Before his last loss to Arman Tsarukyan in what was a very close, very competitive fight, he only had one loss on his entire professional record. He'd never been beaten in the UFC before. He was working his way close to being considered in the title hunt, takes that L and says, I'm retiring. He's very emotional about it. And that's kind of how Yanni is looking at this. And he agrees with the opening line. He feels like this man should be the minus 175, minus 180 that he opened at rather than the minus 110. So this is a great opportunity to buy low on Damir Ismagulov. The problem for me is I see the condition Grant Dawson is coming in. I see the shape Grant Dawson is coming in. I see that he's been training at ATT, and this guy pushes a pace the way that we just saw Damir Ismagulov get beat against Arman Tsarukyan, that exact same style of grappling, maybe with more, back takes, more jujitsu. And that could be a big difference maker here in this spot. So I'm a little bit frozen on this fight. You think long, you think wrong. That's how it goes, especially in sports betting. If you're not convicted on one side or the other, it's probably a good opportunity for you to just keep your hard-earned money in your pockets and pass. I'm going to land on the Damir Ismagulov side, I think, here. But what I think is maybe the best thing we can do in this fight is live bet. Live bet. Because honestly, if Grant Dawson comes out and mauls this man here in round one, we know for a fact that Damir Ismagulov is going to fight for your money. We know for a fact he's not going anywhere in these fights. He's almost impossible to finish, and he's got a great gas tank. He's never been a guy that slowed down, gassed out, gotten tired. I'll take plus money at the end of round one if he gets mauled on the mat by Grant Dawson. I'll take a much bigger, sexier line on the guy that I know is going to go for the full hard 15 minutes and fight his way back into the fight. Now, maybe he's the one that's winning round one, and in which case, maybe you want to take the opposite approach. You take the big plus money on Grant Dawson, but I would lean more towards the side that the bookies find the favorite than the side the people are saying probably shouldn't be as big of a dog. Activate saying, you seen Damir talking about wanting to carry on and fight Justin. Seems like he's not retiring anymore. Yeah, exactly. He is talking about other fights, other matchups, other opponents. And that's the kind of thing that lets you know, to me, I guess his head's back in the game, right? Maybe I misread that situation, and I think Gianni might be right. Maybe he's got something to the fact that this guy got upset that he lost that fight and decided to go ahead and throw in the towel. I'm not entirely certain that he's wrong about that. So that's that fight, folks. Main event time. Hey, we got over 200 live viewers here on the Friday show. Thank you all for hanging out with me here on the Undefeated Post-Weigh-In Show. This is Pub Sports Radio. Hit the like button, consider subscribing, and make sure you check out betopenly.com. They're my other sponsor, and I would appreciate you guys taking a look into that. Main event time, Sean Strickland, Ismagulov, both guys 186 pounds. Sean Strickland, Classic Sean, right? Slinking his way up to the scale, talking the whole time. John can't shut his mouth. This guy is great for TV. What else can you say? You know, he made the weight. He looked like he struggled maybe a little bit getting there. He slipped on his way up to the scale. But I mean, Sean's being such a goofy ass. I can't even tell if that's, you know, it's probably not because he had a bad weight cut. It's just because Sean's being Sean. Magomedov, on the other hand, confident, strong flex, looked good on the scale. This guy's all business, the exact opposite. When these guys face off, you know, again, Sean, he doesn't do anything seriously. He will never face off with his opponents. He will never meet your eyes for a stare down. He talks about how awkward and weird it is. So he's just up there joking, waving to the crowd and all that kind of thing. So it is what it is. It's almost impossible to break down weigh-in day for Sean Strickland because he ruins the whole thing. Now, Abus obviously is slightly taller, slightly longer. I'm in on the Abus side. Now, I got in at plus 150, so I got a slightly better number than what's out there right now. He's plus 125. This is a bit of a leap of faith. And I've talked about it all week, folks. I've talked about it all week. Sean Strickland is the proven guy. He's fought a who's who, the highest caliber of opponent that the UFC has to offer in this weight class. And he's taken them all 25 minutes time and time again. Like, you cannot knock on what Sean Strickland has done. The one thing that I do look at, however, is how closely he's fought with a lot of these guys. It bothers me that 4 out of 5 fights in a row, Sean Strickland has absorbed more than 100 significant strikes. And the one time in his last 4 or 5 fights that he didn't, he got knocked out by Alex Pereira. Like, this guy does nothing but move forward and 1-2 in your face and rely on rolling with the punches for that durability to hold up. I think he's going to crack again soon. He's super active. He tanks a lot of damage, and that will add up. So I like Abus here. I think Abus will be able to connect with him early and get a knockout. However, I'm not blind to the fact that, like I said, Sean Strickland has fought the absolute who's who of this weight class. If Abus does not get him out of there early, I fully expect Sean to be able to finish this man later because Abus is probably not the guy like Cannonier where he's made out of steel and can go 25 straight minutes, even if he's on the wrong side of a beating. I don't think he's built that way. In fact, I don't know he's built that way. We have nothing to suggest one way or the other. I'm kind of buying in on the hype of Abus, and I'm not tailing anybody from, you know, his last fight, his UFC debut where he won in first round knockout. I was the one screaming from the rafters that that was going to happen. I was the one that told everybody Abus was real in his last fight. So don't think I'm, you know, getting a little money in my eyes here trying to find the underdog that's coming off a round 1 knockout. I've been watching this guy for some time, so I think he's top 5. I think he'll be able to get by Sean Strickland. I think he wins by first or second round knockout in this spot. However, if he doesn't, you just dump on Sean Strickland live. Because if Sean starts pacing this guy, he probably isn't going to make it the full 25 minutes. And honestly, I don't mind an under. You know, I know they've got the total set at 3.5, but I don't mind, like, fight doesn't go the distance if you want to lay just a little bit of a price on that and go, no, fight does not go the distance, because Sean could TKO a tired Abus Magomedov. I think more often than not, Abus wins by knockout, but don't count out Sean in the 3rd, 4th, or 5th round as this fight drags on. That's the Undefeated post weigh-in show, folks. Thank you all so much for joining me here on the show tonight. Again, sorry about the audio issue there on this show, but hit the like button for me if you will. Check out betopenly.com for me and give me your best bet. Jump in the comments down below as soon as I end the stream here. Let me know what your favorite bet for UFC Vegas 76 is, and I'll see you all tomorrow. Good luck on all your degenerate action. Remember, bankroll management and always trust your balls. Let's roll.